Hi YouTube, Autumn Beckman here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My channel is all about luxury on a budget, so if you're into that sort of thing, make sure you subscribe, click the bell notification icon to be notified when I post new videos, and remember to like all the videos that you enjoy. Today I have for you a bunch of scarves. I have the Louie Vuitton shawl, a real one and a fake one to show you, and then as you saw in the thumbnail, I have a whole bunch of twillies and bandeaus to show you. Some are authentic and some are not. I have been wanting to do this video for a few years and I'm finally getting around to it, and it's actually thanks to Jill Maurer, because she was asking me and Bobster92 over the weekend about the Louie Vuitton monogram shawl and whether it's worth it. And I'll talk about that in a second, but first I want to get into the real and fake. So I have this fake monogram shawl, and you can see it does have the LVs on it. I purchased this before I started buying authentic Louis Vuitton anything, so I've had it for quite a while. And I really liked it, so I thought I would get a real one. The authentic one I purchased from the Real, they retail at Louis Vuitton for around $600, and I thought that was just insane for a scarf, for something that's going to get worn and dirty and show wear, and especially since these are known to pull pretty easily. Personally, I was not about to buy that brand new and pay retail. So I got it on the Real for around half the price. I think it was somewhere between $300 and $400. Still a lot, but I thought that was worth it, and I've gotten a ton of use out of it. I've really enjoyed this. So I'm not doing a review on these things. I really just want to compare the real versus the fake on each of these. And I have Louis Vuitton, I have Hermes, and I have Dior. I've seen a lot of fake scarves around, whether they're on Amazon or other sites. And one of the thoughts is, like with a handbag, there are a lot of quality differences between authentic and fake bags in many cases. And it seems like a scarf would be easier to make one that looks just like the real thing and could really fool somebody. And what I want to show you is the differences between them, so you know what to look for if you're buying, especially buying a Preloved authentic scarf. Maybe this will help you determine whether the one you're buying is really authentic or if it's fake. There are definitely quality differences between all of the fakes versus the authentic scarves. And I'm kind of picky, especially about my silk bandeaus and twillies. I'm kind of picky about the quality on those, so authentic is the only thing I want to buy there. Now these scarves, I wouldn't buy another fake one, but I also wouldn't buy another authentic one. And let me just show you quickly. I mean, I can pull up any part of this scarf. You can see that there's pilling. You can see it on there, right? There's pilling all over this thing. There's also a pull right here with that loose thread. You can see it there. Now I have worn this thing to death, but it definitely looks like it. What I want to show you on the quality differences between these two monogram shawls, I'll hold them up side by side. This faux one, and I'm not leaving links to any of the fake items. I do have links below for places where you can get the authentic ones. Holding them up side by side, there's a lot of contrast and you can't see the detail too much in the black one, so let me just hold up the black one on its own. You can see that the LVs and the other monogram pattern in there is pretty subtle. It's kind of hard to see. You can see it a little better right there, but it's pretty subtle. And then look at the fringe over here. Now I have washed this one. That's part of the reason why the fringe is so messed up looking, not very neat and pretty. I just threw it in the washing machine. But this is sort of your typical scarf. It's kind of thin, like I can see through it with the light. I don't think that you're going to be able to so well. Border on it, you see how it has a little bit of a border there, so it goes from here to here. That's a pretty thin border. It's maybe 2 inches. On the authentic scarf, the border is much thicker. The fringe is nicer. The border goes from here to the edge, so that's more like 3 inches. And it's much easier to see the monogram print on it, partly because it has a little bit of a shimmer to the monogram, and you can see that when it catches the light. Now they do have a monogram shine shawl that is more of a metallic looking thread. That's not what this is. This is just the regular monogram shawl, but it does still have that shine. Another thing you want to look for is the label on the shawls. On this fake shawl, the label looks like this. And if you are familiar with Louis Vuitton fonts, you can tell right away that is not the Louie Vuitton font. It's a little too tall and skinny, and the letters are a little too thick. And it has the care tag, and on this tag it says 65% cashmere and 35% wool, dry clean only. Here's the tag on the authentic scarf. It says 60% silk and 40% wool. It's also dry clean only, but there's the tag. That's what the authentic tag should look like. You can also see the texture of the scarf there and how it has these striations. The fake scarf I have doesn't have that to the same degree. It has it a little bit, but it's not as pronounced. All right, let's move over to the bandeaus and twillies. Hermes calls their scarves like this twillies. Louis Vuitton calls them bandeaus, and Dior calls them mitzahs. M-I-T-Z-A-H. The differences between these are all pretty similar, so I'm going to show you a few different ones. And before I do that, let me talk about Louis Vuitton a little bit. I don't have a fake Louis Vuitton one, but I do have two authentic ones. I have more than two, but I have two authentic ones pulled to show you. Louis Vuitton, I have really mixed feelings about their silk scarves like this. There are some that I really love and some that I think look like they're terrible quality. The patterns of which I've wanted to buy before, but then I see them in person and they just look awful to me. What I like in a silk scarf is something with very crisp lines. Like on the belt here, the little black outlines, I like that to be very crisp. One of the things you'll notice, I've seen on the internet lots of fake scarves like these confidential bandeaus, and you'll see that the lines are not as crisp. And I'll show you an example of that with the Hermes scarves in a second. That the edges will be a little blurry. You'll notice that the font might be off. So familiarize yourself with those things. I want to point out that Louis Vuitton makes their bandeaus in a few different sizes, and I can put the measurements in the description box below, but they have one like this, the confidential bandeau. They have a size that's bigger than this, so it's longer and wider, but it's still that rectangular cutoff at the bottom. They also have these long skinny ones that have the triangular cutoff at the bottom, or the angled cutoff. And some are one-sided, some are double-sided like this. Hermes makes twillies in two sizes. Actually, I think they have a couple. I think they have some that are much longer and skinnier, but generally this is the normal size twilly, like the average twilly. And again, I'll have the dimensions below. So it's a pretty short scarf. It also has very crisp lines and very bright, bold colors. Personally, I think Hermes makes the best silk scarves. They are really beautiful. They do have some that don't have the black outlines, kind of similar to this Louis Vuitton one. Some of their scarves, the edges aren't as crisp. However, when you compare these to a fake one, the differences are pretty clear. Let me show you one more authentic one here. So this is another real Hermes scarf. You can see how crisp those lines are, how bright the colors are. It's really beautiful. Now here's a fake one in comparison. First of all, I'll hold it up just so you can see. Now those lines on camera might look a little crisper than they are. Check out this side. It's the same scarf, so it's one pattern on half of the scarf and the other half of the scarf is a different pattern. And I hope you can see there that the black edges are fatter, so you lose detail. So let's compare these two side by side. You can see how thin the black outlines are on this real scarf versus the fake one, and how much nicer the colors are on the authentic scarf versus the fake. Here are these two oranges together. This orange almost looks yellow up against the authentic Hermes orange. A couple other things you'd want to look for in these scarves. Let me show you the authentic tags. The Hermes tag will look like this, and then on the back it looks like that. This fake scarf doesn't even have a tag. It does say Hermes down there, but it's not very crisp and the colors aren't very nice. You'll also notice on this one, it's not sewn evenly down there. The black line on the bottom is not even in the thickness. It's thinner on one end. The twillies from Hermes, Dior, Louis Vuitton, and I believe Gucci too are all 100% silk. One thing that I have noticed immediately about the authentic scarves is to look at the texture of the silk. And you can see that there are some diagonal striations in that texture. You see in the blue field there, and you can see it in the green. It's subtle, but it's also pretty obvious on the authentic scarves. Whereas on the fake ones, if you look closely, you can still see that texture, but it's not nearly as obvious. I don't know if that'll come across at all, actually. There, you can see it a little bit. I'm not sure if it's going to be as clear on camera as it is in person, but it is more obvious, that texture, in the authentic ones than in the fake ones. Now let me show you the Dior scarves. I purchased this off Amazon, and when I purchased this, I didn't have anything from Dior. If you watch my channel, you know Dior is not one of the brands I really talk about. It's not really on my radar. And when I purchased this, I just thought it was a pretty scarf. I didn't realize that it was a fake Dior scarf. When I got it, it took me a while to notice that it was fake. It took me a while to find that little place there where it says Dior. So this is a copy of one of their scarves. Looks like that on the back. And after I purchased this, I went to the Dior boutique and I purchased this authentic Dior scarf. And this is how it looks on the back. And there are very similar differences between the real and the fake here. One thing I've noticed from purchasing not just fake Twillies, but other kinds of Twillies like this, I think this is maybe supposed to be Gucci inspired. This came free with a handbag I purchased on Amazon. But I've noticed that the materials are very different quality and they look different. And I'll talk about some of that in a minute. But like this fake Dior is a different feel and a different look from the fake Hermes. And again, I don't know how well that'll come across on camera. This is a much more smooth feeling fabric. It does still have some of that texture in it if you can catch it at the right light. You can see it a little bit there maybe. You can see that the black borders again are not sewn evenly. There's no care tag on it. It feels it's very soft and smooth, but it also, to me, it almost feels like it leaves a little dustiness on your fingers. It doesn't, but it feels that way to me somehow. I don't know how else to describe it. This is really a pretty good fake. The lines on this are pretty crisp. You find a spot that has a lot of lines on it to illustrate that well. But that is pretty crisp. The back isn't quite as much. And the colors aren't printed as dark, like the black is not as dark on this scarf as it is on the authentic one. It's more of a dark gray. The Dior scarf is more of a true black. And then I have another fake Dior scarf. This one I did purchase intentionally and for this video, but it was still quite a while ago. And this shows the quality difference between the two. So this one here is a better fake and this one not so much. It's even more of a smooth fabric and it's shinier where it doesn't look as real. Most of these scarves have a little, like the authentic ones have a little shine to them, but they are kind of matte also. And I'll show you some of the shinier scarves in a bit. But when you see these in person, they're just, the colors aren't there. It does still have the crisp lines, but it's almost like look at her face. It's almost like when it was sewn, the fabric was pulled out of place a little diagonally. It's like it's not flat, sort of. Like look at the stars there. They're not, they look like the fabric's kind of pulled them out of shape. Does that make sense? And then on the back, you can see some of the front up there that's folded onto the back. So it's a lot of little details like that that make it obvious that it's a fake. Let me show you the tag on the authentic Dior scarf. Looks like this. And then the back like that. I'll say too that one thing I've noticed about the scarves, and this is related to all of them, is I just hang them from hangers in my closet. And even when I've had them tied around a handle of a bag and they get all wrinkly, I hang them and after a while all the wrinkles come out. Except for this Louie Vuitton scarf. This one is always wrinkly. I don't know what is different about it, but that's something to be aware of. Okay, the rest I have to show you. I have two more that came with handbags that I ordered from Amazon. If you do order some scarves that you haven't seen in person, they're not luxury, they're not expensive, they're likely to look like this, where they have this really bright shine to them. The lines are not as thin and crisp on them. They're a little fatter than the others. To me, this fabric, especially this one, looks really cheap. I think compared to something like this Dior scarf or the Hermes scarf, that this just is very obvious that it's a cheap, like dollar store kind of scarf. Personally, I don't like these. I've held on to it to do this video to show you the difference, but usually when I get these, I put them in a Goodwill bag. You can still get some nice Twillies or bandeaus that aren't from those high-end luxury brands. Most of those authentic scarves are around $200, a little less usually if you buy them new. And on the Preloved market, they tend to be a little more. So that's one of the things that I would recommend purchasing new from a boutique or from their website. For a very long time though, I have had this Coach scarf, and I think it's just as nice as any of the higher end luxury brands. And I got it years and years and years ago from the Coach outlet. This does have some wrinkling in it. I'm not sure if that'll show up, but in the middle there, and it has the Coach tag on the back. And I know I've seen scarves like this at the outlet stores since then. I've probably had this, I think I got this around 2007 or so, so it's well over 10 years old. But I've seen scarves at Coach more recently than that, and they are more reasonably priced than the luxury pieces. But if you're interested in getting a piece of luxury and not spending a whole lot on it, and you think you would wear this on a bag or in your hair or around your wrist or around your neck or whatever, there are so many things you can do with these Twilly size scarves. This is an option for you going with a brand like Coach. Other more high street brands make things like this too, but I also think, from me anyway, that these are a good thing to buy from the luxury brands at retail. I think of the silk scarves and the big square ones, which I don't wear as often. I wear these much more often. I think these are a lot easier to wear. I think of them as little pieces of art, and I just think they are gorgeous. I've never regretted buying a Twilly. I think they're beautiful, and I'm always on the lookout for more. And this is something that I would recommend purchasing authentic. Not that I ever recommend purchasing fake items, but with the Twillies, I think they're worth it. I think they're actually worth the price. There's a big difference between the authentics and the fakes, and that the authentic ones are definitely the way to go if you're on the fence about that. Well, I hope that's helpful for anyone who is looking for some pre-loved Twillies or Twillies on third-party websites, so you don't get fooled into buying a fake. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you here next time. Have a fantastic day. Bye.